Hey guys,
Hey everyone,
I am Step,
and I'm Tams.
and this is Card Advantage, and this is Nisa Ravane. And we are here straight from the Origins pre-release on the weekend, bringing you this video about how to build a sealed pool. We thought we'd go through our pools and show you pretty much what we did for the weekend, and I'm going to start off with mine. This is the little story booklet that comes with to tell you the Planeswalker story, and neat thing, it has how to build a sealed deck for new players.
And there's some pretty good tips in there too.
There's pretty good tips. So I was actually really impressed with the box. The one thing that I do miss is the buttons. I really like the buttons, and I don't get buttons for my suits anymore, and I'm sad. But I'm just going to pull everything out here. And spoilers, the green sleeved stuff is my deck. But I'm basically going to go through and show you what building a pre-release pool looked like. So, first off, crack all the packs. And it was 6 packs of Origins plus a seeded pack. Mine was in green because I was playing green. So basically, first thing, crack the packs, sort by color. Get rid of the tip cards and the lands. I was sort of laid out in Wooburg order, but that's just because I'm silly that way. Got some nifty looking tokens. And boom, Nisa. So she definitely went in my deck.
You pulled a Nisa.
I pulled a Nisa.
Sweet.
Now I say she definitely went in my deck, but that's only because there was enough green support to actually run her. I don't know if the glare on the sleeves is going to be too much for the camera, if I'm going to have to pull everything out of sleeves.
I don't know.
This was my promo, the Outland Colossus, and I hadn't actually looked at any of the rares. Like, we did the on the stack video, and we reviewed all the commons and uncommons, but I didn't know what the rares were going in, and I was gratified to see that guy, because he was pretty big. And also efficiently costed. He's not just like a big dumb dude. He was a 6/6 for 5.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. Becomes a 12/12 for 5 if he hits. Alright, so now that I've broken my pool sort of into colors, I usually start with what looks like the smallest color, just to see if I've got anything really worth running. So that was blue in this case, and the Soulblade Djinn is pretty good, so I thought about possibly running it, but looking at the rest of the pool, Calculated Dismissal, meh. Send to Sleep, meh. Claustrophobia, okay, that's good, so put those at the front. Ring Warden Owl, good. Bone to Ash, meh. Fairy Miscreant, bad. Nivix Barrier, I'm not going to run a deck for Nivix Barrier, so whatever. Maritime Guard, Deep Sea Terror, Bone to Ash, Disperse, and Separatist Void Mage look pretty good. So I've got 5 cards worth playing in blue, not enough to make a deck out of. So sort of put those aside for now. Go on to black. Black, I had Reeve Soul, that looked pretty good. Rabid Bloodsucker, maybe. Unholy Hunger's good. Eyeblight Assassin, 2 of them. Weight of the Underworld. Necromantic Summons, Macabre Waltz. Touch of Moonglove. Catacomb Slug. Those are sort of meh. So I have 6 cards that are sort of worth running in black. Also, not really enough. I'm avoiding green at this point because that's the color I chose, and I don't want to see the green stuff and immediately go, ooh, I want to play that. So I looked at my other stuff first. In red, Demolish, no. Demolish, no. Infectious Bloodlust, 3 of them. Eek. Bellows Lizard, no. Prickle Boar looked good. Ravaging Blaze looked pretty good. Boggart Brute, excellent. Acolyte of the Inferno, excellent. Scab Clan Berserker, pretty good. Gearapur, Gearcrafter?
GG.
We're just calling him GG. Fiery Impulse, definitely. This is like my favorite card in the set right now. Double Active Treason, maybe. Seismic Elemental, maybe. And another Prickle Boar. So it looked like red was a possibility. There was definitely some stuff in red that I wanted to play. The Boggart Brute, the Fiery Impulse, the Acolyte of the Inferno, and the GG for a few. So I'm sort of separating the playables from the non-playables. Next on to white. We've got a Charging Griffin. Is pretty okay. And Shrouding Mist I thought would probably be good if I had enough creatures to have a couple of protect them spells. Blessed Spirits is great. Knightly Valor is great. Topin Freeblade's just good. War Oracle is good. Here's Kythion's Irregulars. These are phenomenal. And that definitely pulled me towards white. Second Enshrouding Mist. Knight of the Pilgrim's Road's good. Anointer of Champions, much better than it looks. And Light and Aesthetic is sideboard only. Heavy Infantry, meh. Valor and Akros, Vryn Wingmare, Oromancer. All this stuff was just sort of okay. But I had a couple that I thought would be pretty good, and 4, 5, 6, 7 cards that would be definite auto-includes. So white was looking pretty good. And then finally, well, no, let's check out the artifacts. No. I want to take every single one of these in a draft. I just want to take like 6 of them.
That's kooky.
And run just straight aggro. And I had an Eros champion, so I thought red-white already looked like a possibility. So, maybe. But let's see the green. We've got Yavis Force Mage, that's just great. Leaf Gilder, good. Llanowar Empath, good. Valerian Wardens, awesome. Somberwald Alpha, awesome. Timberpack Wolf for a 2/2. Jiraga Invocation, sweet. This won me several games. Outland Colossus, Farika's Disciple, Rox Maulers, 2 of them. A Titanic Growth, and then there was Nissa. That's pretty heavily a reason to go green for me, as long as there was enough other stuff to support it. And based on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 playables in green, seemed like the place to go.
Mm-hmm.
So, that being said, put this other stuff out of the way for the moment and start laying out the green playables. 3-drop, 5-drop, 5-drop, 4-drop, 5-drop, 6-drop, 4-drop, 3-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop. Curve's a little high, but not really unsustainable, especially in sealed, because if you're maybe a little slower, and as limited resources has made sure of saying, a little slower means like a turn slower, half a turn slower, but that can be the difference between needing to get something out on turn 2 and needing to get something out on turn 3. So 3s, 4s, 5s seemed okay. First thing I did was add the red, just to see what the red looked like, because I don't know why, but I tend to fight my instincts. My instinct said that this pool was going to go green-white from the beginning. And since that was my thought, I wanted to avoid doing that as long as possible. Maybe I'm just goofy that way. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Let's say 21, 22, and 23 playables. This deck looked pretty good. It had some removal, not a lot, but it did have a lot of creatures that could beat down. The problem was the curve just looked a little funky, and I didn't really like that, so I decided, you know what, let's go for it. Let's check out the green-white. Let's add the white. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 2, 23. So that's 23, and with a curve starting at 1 and bulging out around 2, 3, or 4, that seemed like a pretty strong deck. The one thing that it's completely lacking is removal. There's no removal in this deck whatsoever. Not a single piece. And that was a problem. And I knew that going in. There wasn't a lot of removal in this pool. Most of it was in black, and the rest of black just wasn't playable. I didn't have enough black playables to make a green-black deck or a white-black deck, so I knew that this was going to be a little bit awkward. I knew that if I could get things onto the field and swing with them, I would be able to win some games. I knew if there was something that came down on the other side that I couldn't deal with, I was going to lose some games. But sometimes that's what you have to do in a sealed pool. This deck ended up being very strong on the offense. Freeblade or Leaf Gilder into Force Mage, swing with a 4/3 Leaf Gilder into Somberwald Alpha, into Outland Colossus was very, very strong. Jiraga Invocation won me a few games just because I was able to wipe my opponent's board. Best cards, I didn't see Nisa very often on the day. I saw her a couple of times, and mostly she was a good lightning rod for removal. I did flip her once, and yeah, it was good. But I wouldn't avoid putting her out on turn 3 and ramping just because you want to flip her. She's a 2/2 for 3, and that's good enough, especially when she draws you a land. Blessed Spirits were excellent, even with only the Knightly Valor to put a +1 counter on them, which never happened in the deck. I didn't wait to play Knightly Valor or anything. A 2/2 flyer for 3 is perfectly fine. What really did the most work was Somberwald Alpha, because anytime an opponent blocked one of my creatures, that creature got +1/+1. And along with Anointer of Champions, giving any one creature an additional +1, it made combat math a nightmare for my opponents. And that was fun for me. So I ended up going 3, 2, and 1. So 3 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. And I lost 2 games to green-white. And I drew against green-blue because the game just went so long. The 3 games that I won, I beat a deck with Chandra, which was super fun. I beat a deck with Liliana, which was also super fun. And I beat a deck with Kytheon, or Gideon, which was also super fun.
Nice.
When I did lose, it was to... what's that Hydra? Mana Drinker Hydra? Mana Gorger Hydra? It gets a counter whenever anyone casts a spell, and that just gets huge.
Yeah.
And there was nothing I can do because I couldn't remove it. And it was too big before I got my rock smaller or my jog invocation for me to do anything about it. Mm-hmm. So sometimes that happens. But this was the deck, and I had fun playing it. I hope you enjoyed watching me put it together. And if you have any comments, questions, or want to tell us about your sealed pools, feel free to pop us a message in the comments or on Twitter or whatever. We'll be up next with Tam's sealed pool.
Mm-hmm. Hey guys, it's Tams here, and with me is Step holding the holding the camera. So I'm going to do things a little bit different to show you guys, because he already kind of explained what goes into building a sealed pool. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to show you. I do things pretty much the same as him. Lay out all my colors, go through everything. So we're just going to take a look at what I had. So I chose
Black.
Liliana. I've always been a fan of her. And oh, look at those nails. Can tell that I've been playing Magical on her.
Yeah.
I like
walking the plains.
Mm-hmm. I like Liliana. I like Black. And then I have to admit, after doing the set review, I was a little bit disappointed. Because Black just didn't seem to have a lot of zing.
It's not that Black's bad.
It's not
like
bad.
It's good. It's solid. It's fine. It's
There's just
not,
no zing.
Yeah.
So I was a little disappointed. But as Steph explained, you get 6 packs and 1 seeded pack of 7 cards. So I thought I may not end up going Black. So I opened my pool. And I did check the white first, but we'll go over that after. Mm-hmm. So I went to the green. Let's take a look, because my green pool was pretty small. No. There we go. All right.
Hey,
so this card I had used on me a few times.
Was that good?
I was like, okay.
Was it
sure, whatever.
I don't know.
Reveal the top X cards of your library. Put all land cards from among them onto the battlefield tap, and the rest of them on the bottom of your library in any order. It did very little in limited. It did, when it came up against me, it did very little. Yeah,
it doesn't seem like... It's not... Maybe it would be fixing, but it's not even
reliable
good ramp.
Fixing, yeah. So when I saw it, I went, "Ugh." Green is never my first choice to begin with, unless it's paired with Black, to be honest. But I went, yeah. So I looked green. Through. Mantle of Webs, bare sideboard.
I saw a guy main decking 2 of those.
Really? Yeah. Must have had no support. Leaf Gilder is fine. Undercity Troll is quite good.
Yep. It was Force Mage.
Yeah, is good.
Yep.
And then I had 3 of Hitchclaw Recluse.
That's a pretty good sideboard card.
Sure, but do I want 3 to build a deck around now?
Probably not.
No. Lanoir Empath.
Pretty good.
It's fine. Wild Instincts is okay.
Pretty good.
Vastwood Gorger is fine for vanilla card, but really, there's not a ton in here for me to build.
No, I mean you could go green, but why?
Why am I going to run 3 1/4s?
Yeah.
No, it's not what I want to do. So I kind of, like you, set it aside.
Yep.
Moved on to blue.
Mm-hmm.
Fairy Miscreant, meh. Send to Sleep, meh. Maritime Guard, bleh.
2 of them.
3 of them.
Wow. You got a lot of the, what is it, Horned Turtles, 1/4s?
Yeah.
Or that's 1/3s, but...
This card is fine. He's
good.
Great. No thank you. No thank you.
Yeah. Man, the blue kind of stinks.
Hey, look,
that's
an owl. So, really, blue, I went, see it, blue.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even splash for that.
No green, blue for you.
No. So, okay, so the gold cards I got, I kind of lucked out here as far as, I won't say value, but stuff we may want for other purposes. Mm-hmm. Citadel Castellan is, whoa, there we go. It's pretty okay.
Yep.
The Possessed Scab. Oh. I love this card because you can return not only a creature, but an instant or sorcery.
Yep.
It's pretty awesome. It's just good. This, though, is my favorite. Bounding Crisis. Yeah, Flash. enters the battlefield, you may tap or untap target creature.
And it's a 3/3 for 3, which is already, like, fine.
Bonkers. Yeah, he's pretty sweet. I like him. I also like the Blazing Hellhound. Mm-hmm. He's pretty good.
And between the two of us, we got most of them.
Yeah, we're missing one of them. So
the black-white one?
Yeah, of course, right? So these were my gold, and they're pretty good.
Yep.
So, on to my artifacts. I know it seems like I'm skipping around in a strange order, but there's a reason.
Okay.
So, artifact-wise, I got a lot of artifacts. Alchemist Vial. Meh. Veteran Sidearm. Meh. Ram Roller.
I want to make it work. It looks so cute.
But no, thank you.
Mini Juggernaut.
Brawler's Plate, no. This is fine.
Yeah, actually.
He'd be okay. I got 2 of them.
Nice. 2 Alchemist Files, apparently.
Yeah. 3 of these, apparently. And a Meteorite.
Nice.
And I like Meteorites in decks with, bigger things.
I was sad to find out that there's no amazing flicker spell that flickers for a single mana, which is probably for the best.
Probably. But then I saw this guy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, baby.
He's good.
He is sweet. So as you can tell that he's in a sleeve.
He made the deck.
He made the deck.
Yeah.
So, what wound up happening is I wound up going, you go here.
Sure.
I end up going white-black. But I will show you the red pool because later in the day I switched out some red. I switched the black out for red to see if it would have been better, but we'll get there. Okay, so there we go. Mm-hmm. This is stuff that I did not run.
Yeah. Just sort of,
Yeah.
And then we get to awesome stuff.
Yeah. Fiery Impulse, I can tell you, is very good.
Yeah.
Exquisite Firecraft is fine.
Is it?
It's good, yeah. It's 4 damage for 3. It's double red, and that can be a problem, but it wasn't a problem when I used it.
Cool.
Ravaging Blaze is fine. Subterranean Scout it's fine. It's a 2/1 for 2. I didn't ever drop it when I had any use for it.
Yeah, that's alright. It's still a piker.
Yeah. Boggart Brute was good.
Yeah.
He got in for a lot of damage in
I
the
actually
games
lost
I
a
used
game
him.
to Boggart Brute.
Yeah?
Yeah.
A Crone Sergeant is also really good. That first strike.
Yeah.
He never showed up. Did he show up? No, I don't think he ever did.
No.
And this, you don't... Oh, yes, I sided this guy in with the red.
Right.
He's fine. Firebrand Elemental is good. Pricklebore. Oh, Pricklebore. He's pretty good. And then I got this guy. Embermaw Hellion. He's just pretty sweet.
Seems pretty good.
4/5 for 5 with Trample
Yep.
is good enough. But then when you factor in the other stuff, this would be fantastic in a more red dedicated deck.
Yeah.
Mine wasn't, but it was still fine. But as you can probably see, I did not have much in the way of good removal. And that was my consideration. I had 3 pieces of removal, and
Decent removal.
it's okay. But when you see my black,
Yeah.
I had more removal that I knew what to do with. So, this is the deck that I wound up running for most of the day.
Okay.
Can you see it from there?
We can see the cards, but why don't you go through it?
Alright, so the curve is fine.
Yep.
It's quite nice. I'll start with the creatures, I guess. These little guys here, good golly, they really put the pressure on your opponent to not attack.
Yeah.
Because of this little thing here.
Yeah.
And being that it's a 2-butt instead of a 1-butt, and it's in the air,
Right.
sometimes he bashed in for one, swung in and clinked them.
Yep.
And sometimes he just sat there and said, come on, come at me, bro. So I had 2 of those, which was, I didn't find it was too many. I never saw them actually at the same time. I wouldn't have minded, but it was fine. Topin Freeblade. 2/2 with Vigilance. Vigilance.
Yeah, it did some work in my deck too.
Yeah, it was really easy to get the Renown, I was finding. So I was fairly lucky with rolls, though. I went first a lot of the time.
Okay.
So that was helpful. My 3 drops. This guy, I had somebody take 3 damage from him 3 times in a row.
Just because he didn't want
And
to
he looked
discard
at me
something?
sheepishly and said, I don't want to give up the sweet stuff in my hand.
Yeah.
And I went,
Well, he's paying
Okay.
for it then.
yep, I won the game.
Yeah.
Then I got this little honey. Graveblade Marauder. He is a 1/4 for 3 with Death Touch.
Nice.
Now, I never had him deal combat damage, but this wasn't really the deck for that. But let me tell ya, a 1/4 for 3 with Death Touch.
It's pretty good.
He's pretty great. Blessed Spirits, the saddest card in Magic. It's foil.
Sad card.
Can you see the foil?
Yeah.
It's quite pretty.
Actually looks pretty cool.
Now, I only had 1 enchantment, and so I never had a counter. But a 2/2 for 3 flyer, I'm all over that like a dirty shirt.
That was what I thought too.
Yep. Stalwart Avon is a 1/3 for 3 with flying and renown 1.
So it's a 2/4 if you hit with it, which is...
I never experienced him not getting his renown.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was great. And it's different when it's an evasive flyer as opposed to a ground crawler.
Yeah.
You're much more likely to
Yep.
get him. All right, so 4 drops.
Seems like you've got a few of those.
Yep. 2 Charging Griffins, which, again, I was going with flyers in this deck.
Hey, they're fine.
Yep. The +1/+1 is great.
3/3s on the attack, 2/2s on the defense.
Yep. He was great. And then I had a Waracle,
The Waracle.
and he was not... She? Oh, look she has girl parts. Not only was she good in that even when she's blocking and I'm trading her, I get something for it. I'm getting the lifelink. But the Renowned is fantastic, and also just the presence. People go, a 3/3 with lifelink and Renown, it makes it a target for removal.
Yeah, mine didn't actually do anything except train a removal spell in my deck.
Yeah,
which was perfectly fine.
Yeah. And then I had this guy. Now, Step and I both didn't have a lot of time to look at the rares before we came into the pre-release.
Yeah.
We relied on our own, judgment. But our friend from the Mana League, John as always, was there playing, not in judge capacity, but while I was building, I said, hey, John, take a look at this guy. So I'm running him above Oromancer, right? What do you think of him? And he's like, oh, yeah, you run that. So,
Well, I kind of figured it just... Things that you can scale like that seem pretty good.
What he suggested is don't hold on to it and run it out at 6 mana. Run it out at 4 as a 2/2.
Yeah.
So what I did was every time I dropped it as a 2/2.
Did you ever drop it as a 1/1 for 2?
No, I didn't have to. I would have.
Yeah.
I also dropped it as a 3/3 for 6 once, but it was because I got it later game.
Right, sure.
And then what I do is when I had extra mana, which was quite frequently, I'd put 1 in tap and pump it up. And at one point, he exploded and rained Thopters all over the field. And I think I had 6 Thopters on the field at
It
once.
seems good.
It was fantastic. So he was great.
Yeah.
In the 5-drop slot, I had a Gilt Leaf Winnower.
So that's your promo, right?
This is my promo. He was really good. I had him come
Okay.
out 3 times.
Okay.
And all 3 times he hit a creature, and all 3 times he hit a creature that I didn't want on the board. There are a couple of conditions. 1, it's not an elf. And 2, the power and toughness must be asymmetrical.
Okay.
But it just happened. There's so much of that in the set that it's not
weird.
likely. It's not hard to set it up. But he's great. He's a 4/3 for 4. Why is he in my... Oh, for 5, sorry. So with Menace, that's what makes it extra good, is that it's, can't be
So
blocked.
what do you think of the new keyword?
Menace?
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass when it comes down on the other side of the field, and it's pretty sweet when it comes down on yours. It changes things a lot, because suddenly you can't just chump block that 4/3
So
with
it's
1.
a new type of evasion, right?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. So this was the other 5-drop I had. Rabid Bloodsucker. In the past, I've not been a fan of things that do damage to me, playing them.
Yeah.
But I've gotten over that as I've grown as a player. And a 3/2 for 6 is not exactly where I want to be, per se, but I wanted something else at my upper end. And losing 2 life was never a big deal for me.
I just think this as a flavor fail, because it should have lifelink.
Yeah.
It
that
should
would
be
pretty
more
cool.
expensive, but it should have lifelink.
Yeah. This was fine. This was a 23rd card to throw in.
Okay.
Because of all the flyers I had, dropping another flyer really put pressure on my opponent.
Yeah.
How many times I got the... so...
Because you can deal with the first couple of flyers maybe,
Yeah.
but the third, fourth, and fifth are getting difficult.
Yeah. So this was my favorite creature of the day.
Oh, yeah.
Is he clear? Can you see?
Pretty clear.
Sentinel of the Eternal Watch. I would
Tilt
marry...
it down a little more.
This
There
way?
you go.
I would marry him if I could. He's expensive.
Isn't that also a her?
It's a her, yeah. I'd marry her if I could.
I'd be
I
okay
could
with
now.
that.
Ah.
Yeah, Canada had that for a long time. So.
She's a 6-drop, but I put her in my deck, and my thinking was it's going to be, especially in sealed when people aren't that familiar with the format, it's going to go long. The games are going to go long. People are trepidatious with how to play.
Yep.
So I thought, regardless of how fast the format will eventually be, there's no problem with me running a 6-drop.
Especially at the pre-release.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, she's vigilant. She's a 4/6. Not much gets through her.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of combat on each opponent's turn, tap target creature that player controls.
Yep.
One of my games, I dropped it and the other guy conceded. Because of where we were in the game. He was a little behind with creatures.
That's reasonable. If you're a little behind and somebody drops this, I could see you conceding for time.
Yeah, so that was great. That was my favorite creature. The rest of my stuff...
Let's go through the non-creature spells fairly quickly.
Are we running out of recording space?
I don't know. Nothing.
Right.
If you've got stuff to say it.
Enshrouding Mist, it's fine. It worked. It does a thing.
It worked really well in my deck because I had a lot of Renowned, and I got untap value a lot.
Yeah. Double Soul Reef is good.
Is Reef Soul good?
Reef Soul. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah?
I
Okay.
found it quite effective. There's a lot of stuff that it hits.
3 or less, right?
Yep.
Yep.
This was good. I got to use the Spell Mastery twice.
I wish I'd had one.
It was great. It was great. Celestial Flare was awesome. I got to do the trick where you block, take the damage, and after combat damage resolves before end of combat, made them sack their big creature, took out their small creature.
And then they got all mad salty.
He was a little... yeah, he wasn't that happy, but
Yeah,
whatever.
well.
I have had a Weight of the Underworld, which is fine.
Yeah, it's alright.
This was the all-star in my deck.
The Suppression Bonds?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real good.
It's a lot better. I mean, I knew it was going to be good, but it's really good. I Suppression Bonded one of those Hydras.
Nice.
He got it up.
Nice.
He and I both were playing all sorts of spells, and it was like a 7/7. I was like, oh no. And I dropped this, and he just kind of went,
Oh. Yeah, if I'd had anything that could do that, I wouldn't have had a problem with the Hydra.
yeah. And then I ran 2 Unholy Hungers.
And were they good?
Yeah, absolutely. They're as good as removal is for 5.
Did you get any zombie value?
Nope.
Or no, that's not the one with the zombie, right? That's the one where you
gain life. I did not, ever. I wound up going 3/3, 3 and 3. And I can happily report that when variance wasn't an issue,
Yeah.
the deck was amazing. It ran really, really well. The problem was, and this is why for the last round I switched out to red, I found myself a lot of time, and some of it once was my fault for keeping a hand I shouldn't have, but I had a problem getting a lot of...
Double black?
No, getting handfuls of this end of my curve instead of this end of my curve, and it's okay if you've got a deck that's, and a lot of them were longer game decks, but unfortunately I faced a couple of aggro decks and it was painful.
I faced a couple of more aggressive decks, like the Chandra deck, but thankfully I was also trying to do the aggressive thing.
I didn't see any Planeswalkers in my play.
No?
I didn't get anything other than the Sentinel, really, that was of any great waha, but it was just solid.
The Giltleaf Winnoworth seems pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty good. And to report on the red, it was fine. It was more aggressive. But I still think the black was the better choice.
What you had was a pool with no bombs but a lot of removal, and I had a pool with a lot of bombs and absolutely no removal.
Exactly. So
And those are the two kind of decks that do really well at Sealed.
Yeah, but I had a fantastic time, and all I kept saying is, I can't wait to draft this. I can't wait to draft this.
This Friday, we will be coming back with a draft report from our paper draft. Mm-hmm. And we may have a draft up this week. I think we will.
Cool.
But this will be going up today, Monday. Mm-hmm.